If I were to ask you, tell me what you know about the First World War, I'm sure quite a few of you would tell me that it began in 1914, went all the way up till 1918, that it involved all the major powers of Europe at the time, and most of the minor ones. A few of you might even tell me that it was a widespread conflict that stretched across 5 continents. And you'd be right, except for the date. What does this guy mean? Right about everything except for the date. Well, it's true. You see, the Great War from 1914 to 1918 was not actually the first war that had all those other criteria. Involved all the major European powers and most of the minor ones, spread across 5 continents, most of the known world. No, the first conflict of that nature occurred in 1756. It went all the way up until 1763, and it was called the 7-Year War. And it was a world conflict, make no mistake. Here in North America, the 7-Year War was fought mainly between the British and the French and their allies, which happened to be the native tribes indigenous to North America. The fighting in North America got kicked off around 1754, but it ended in 1763 along with the rest of the 7 Years' War. And at the end of it, there was a final decision as to which of the European powers would be the powerhouse in North America. And that turned out to be Great Britain. Now, the French were notorious for showering their native allies with gifts. The English didn't really do that, except for this one exception. In 1763, King George issued a proclamation, and this one was a whopper. In the proclamation of 1763, the King of England guaranteed that the native tribes of North America would have their lands protected from incursion from his colonies. And this was back in the day when the word of a monarch actually meant something. He set down a line through the Appalachian Mountains. Everything to the west of it would be held in reserve for the natives in perpetuity up until such time as the king himself made a specific treaty with each individual tribe for any portion of land that he would purchase from them in the future. That meant that there was no going around and making deals and swapping beads for hundreds of acres. That was over. The land speculators obviously were not very happy about this. Some of them already had deals on the other side of that line that they were waiting to close on, and now they couldn't follow up. They were going to lose a lot of money. This may have been one of the contributing factors to the Revolutionary War in all actuality, but it's one that does not make it into the history books. Well, as one would imagine, the natives were very grateful to the King of England. As a matter of fact, the king was a good friend to the natives in North America. He made deals with them. He generally did not break those agreements. His colonists sometimes got out of line, but then he'd send his troops to knock them into shape again. And of course, that sort of thing was going on all the way up until just before the Revolutionary War broke out. Despite the proclamation, the colonists were continuing to advance westward across that line that had been declared reserved for the natives. The natives weren't too happy about this. Whenever the Revolutionary War broke out, at first, everyone sent messages to the natives saying, hey, this is a matter between us colonists and our mother country, England, over there. It doesn't involve you. Just stay home. And England sent similar messages. So the natives were more than happy to oblige. After all, there's no sense in bleeding over somebody else's quarrel. Then as the war began to escalate, messages were sent back and forth, both from the colonists and from England, inviting the natives to join. And some did. Some joined the colonists. Some joined the British. Most of them continued to not join either side, but most of them also took advantage of the situation to try to eliminate settlements that were beyond the line in the Appalachian Mountains. And those sorts of raids, although they were not always successful, did manage to cement in the mind of the, well, former colonists now, the thought that the natives were fighting for the British. And so, at the beginning of the 1800s, set firmly in the minds of a great number of Americans was the thought that the natives had been allies of their enemy in the Revolutionary War, that they were un-American, and they needed to go. And so, given the context, it can be understood why there was so much reluctance to do anything to stop the forced relocation of tribes such as the Cherokee tribe in the 1830s. Alright, let's go take a look at those beans. Alright, I'm going handheld here. We're just going to walk down the line and have a look at some of these beans that we've got growing. Up here in the front, we've got our first pole that has currently 5 Anasazi beans around it. It looks like it needs a little fertilizer. And then we've got the Cherokee Trail of Tears black beans. And you'll notice that they've begun to grab a hold of the string here. Well, this one hasn't quite gotten there yet. That one has, and that one has, and that little one over there has. That one has, that one has, that one has, this one has, this one has. That one's got a little vine that might reach. Let's see if we can help it along. Most of these have reached out and grabbed the string all by themselves. This one needs to grow a little bit more. Most of them have managed to reach out and grab the string all by themselves and have not required any assistance from me. Bean plants are smart enough to know how to climb on their own. Well, that brings us to our single seed challenge bean, Cherokee Trail of Tears black bean that we planted one single seed right here next to this dowel rod. And you'll notice that it has reached over and grabbed a hold of that string all by its lonesome, and it is climbing, baby. Maybe not as much as this one. As a matter of fact, most of these have gone ahead, grabbed a hold of those strings, and started the climb all by themselves. They haven't required any assistance from me or anyone else. Nature's smart, it knows what to do. Most of the time. This one, though. Where are you going that way? You're trying to get to the pole, aren't you? You were trying to get to the pole. Let's see. Well, you could have done it too, I bet. But I've got something else I'm planting there. Oh, would you look at that? Look at some beans flowering already. Well, hey there, good people. Hey, that's all I got for you today. As always, if you found any part of this video informative or entertaining, please hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, share this video, bang the notification bell, and good people, I will catch you next time.